Sometimes life is going great and you're flying through the air and it's so much fun. Other times it smacks you. The other person jumps off their end and you go smack to the ground. Are you in a terrible marriage? Do you not have that in you to get through another day? Is there no give and take in your relationship? I was just thinking about this today, and sometimes marriages aren't going well, or any kind of friendships or relationships for that matter, because there is no balance. There's no give and take. There's not taking turns. You probably have, let's just talk about if you're friends with someone. Do you have a friend that talks nonstop and never lets anyone else get a word in edgewise? How fun is it to be around that person? If you have a relationship with your husband or wife and it always has to be their way, do you feel like you're never heard? Do you feel like you're neglected? And when that person keeps getting their own way, you start to get resentful after a while. There needs to be a balance of taking turns. I mean, it's great if you can both always be on the same level and always have that mutual respect. But in life, there's ups and downs. And I was thinking of a relationship being like a seesaw. I don't know if you guys know what a seesaw is, but when you would go to a park as a kid, there was this long, narrow board, and you'd get two kids to sit, a kid to sit on each end of the seesaw. And you would take turns bouncing off the ground, and you would bounce off the ground, and the other had to keep you in the air. Then the other one would bounce off the ground, and you'd keep the other one in the air. And the key thing was you put the pivot point that held the seesaw in the middle. When you have that pivot point in the middle, then everything is fair and it is balanced. And you recognize, you know what, there's going to be times in life where I'm up in the air having the time of my life, and my partner is on the ground supporting me, keeping me up in the air. And then there's times when I come down and they're up in the air enjoying life and I'm down supporting them. It would be wonderful if we could, have that time of balance where we're both in the air and looking at each other in the eyes, and that's not how life works. Also, keeping the pivot point in the center, each taking turns of who's up in the air and who's not, it just makes for a more balanced life. If you're always the one sitting on the ground and never getting to go high in the air, it does make you start to feel resentful and like life isn't fair and balanced, that they get to always be up in the air having fun. Now, there's a couple different ways you can look at it. You take more turns. If you picked the restaurant last week, I get to pick the restaurant this week. Or if you stayed home with the kids so I could go bowling, then I'll stay home with the kids at night so you can go hang out with your friends, or whatever it is. It's a mutual respect, it's a balance, it's a give and take, it's taking turns. Also, kind of a segue, it's another thought, but it's still keeping the seesaw mentality. Now, this isn't about relationships necessarily. This is about keeping God as your pivot point. If life is a seesaw, and sometimes there are ups and downs in life. Sometimes life is going great and you're flying through the air and it's so much fun. Other times it smacks you. The other person jumps off their end and you go smack to the ground, and there's no way to get back up there because you don't have that balance on the other side. And those times in life where life is just representing the seesaw, the pivot point represents God. And if you think of a seesaw, the closer you are to the pivot point, which is God, the more likely you will be to be up in the air, enjoying life and enjoying yourself. So think of the pivot point as the think of the seesaw sometimes when you're close to God or further away from God. The further away you are from the pivot point, the center, God, the harder it is to get leverage, the harder it's going to be to get off of the ground. But the closer you are to the pivot point, and life is on the longer end, the bad things that happen in life, the higher you will be. The closer to God, the closer to your pivot point, the more you will be up in the air, and all the bad stuff that happens in life will be on the long end of the seesaw. So a couple different ways to think of a seesaw. It's give and take, it's a balance, it's a mutual respect of taking turns of who's in the air and who's not, or a seesaw representing life, and you're on one end and the tragedies in life are on the other. How close are you to the pivot point, which is God, who eases the burdens, makes it all lighter? So something to think about. I'm just formulating this in my head, so hopefully that was thoughtful enough and articulate for you guys to go on that same plane with me. All right, live true, love hard, shine bright. Catch you later. Hey there, it is Katherine Norland. I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you did, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you guys think that this video would bless somebody else or that they need to hear it, please hit the share button. And there's a little bell button too where you can be notified whenever I have a video that comes out so you don't miss a thing. I appreciate you guys. Remember, always live true, love hard, shine bright, and I will see you in the next video.